and welcome to Starship Gaming, and today we are going to do a quick little video on a subject I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I think we will call this one the top 5 video game lies you shouldn't fall for. So let's start out with number 5. Sega Genesis had blast processing. That is false. This was actually it was more or less part of a marketing campaign that Sega themselves came up with, claiming that the system was the most powerful, at the time. And this was more or less false. It was just them, trying to make themselves look good. So, today that would be false advertising.
Number 4, Mew was under this truck in Pokemon Red and Blue. That was completely false. I remember this rumor. It was a playground rumor, of course. It spread through, somebody had an older brother who saw it on the internet or saw it on an online forum or something, or a bulletin board, and he was like, hey, and he tells his little brother, and his little brother spreads it to the whole, to the whole playground. And that's how a lot of these things started back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But I remember hearing this myth. It is a myth. It's debunked. It's false. I remember hearing it as late as 2007, 2008. But it is definitely not 100, it's definitely false. It is not true. Number 3, Luigi was in Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. That was a myth that went around for many, many years.
The fact was, Luigi was in fact not in Super Mario 64. So that was absolutely false. If someone told you that, back in the day, then they definitely lied. Number 2, the Cranky Kong challenge. Well, this one is kind of obscure, but I actually remember, just barely, people bringing this up when I was in elementary school. Of course, I grew up in the mid to late 90s. By the time I heard this myth, the game had been out, probably about 6-7 years by that point. A lot of people were still doing, saying this myth that, there's a line in the game where Cranky Kong says, I beat this game in an hour with only one life, and everyone thought, I can play, as Cranky Kong if I beat it in 1 hour on one life. And this is actually false. This was just a in-joke that Rare actually put into the game, so it was never meant to be taken that seriously at all. And number 1 on our list. This one actually kind of infuriates me. The myth states that Hagane, the Final Conflict for Super Nintendo, was a Blockbuster exclusive. Now, let me explain. About roughly 10 or so years ago from the posting of this video, which by the way is August 2019, the game Hagane started a slow rise in value. Right now it's going roughly between 200 to 600, sometimes more. But the myth came about that it was actually a Blockbuster exclusive. And the thing about this is, someone started that lie. Probably an eBay seller who was trying to push up the value, had a bunch of copies or something of it, and wanted, to sell or push a bunch of them. And then other YouTubers over the years got a hold of this information somehow after it spread through forums and whatnot, and presented it as fact. Some very well-known ones, which I won't name. And the truth about this is, it is 100% possibly untrue. There's no evidence stating that it was a Blockbuster exclusive. And that is not shocking at all. But I can say with confidence, there is absolutely no 100% solid fact that it was ever a Blockbuster exclusive. Of course, there were Blockbuster exclusive games. I mean, on the packaging, most of them stated that they were. And there were several, which, later got a couple of them got a mainstream release. But Hagane, The Final Conflict, is one of those games that actually it has no evidence that it ever was a Blockbuster exclusive. So if people keep saying that it is, they need to present proof that it is. Because if they can't, then it's just a regular Super Nintendo game. And because of this myth, the prices skyrocketed. People thought they were, a rare commodity. And I've actually found several copies of it before. Of course, I refuse to sell them for ridiculous prices, so they're currently in my personal collection. But it's one of those things that the prices have gone up because of the fact that people, keep saying it's a Blockbuster exclusive. And, all I can say is proof for it didn't happen. Of course, somebody could say, well, how do you know it wasn't a Blockbuster exclusive? It could have been. Well, there's no evidence that it, was or was not. So we can only present those facts more or less at face value. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Of course, a lot of this is from research that I've done. These are just a sampling of some of the many, many gaming myths out there. So, if I didn't name one off or I didn't get the facts 100% straight, then don't worry about it. It's none of your concern. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell if you want notifications of when we do more awesome videos. And until next time, I will see ya.